I never do that.
Yes, sorry,
so
Prabhu.
at least
We're
Nadia Gojumani Tananda Mahajan Nadia Gojumani Tananda Mahajan Katya Chinam Hate Jibera Karan Katya Chinam Hate Jibera Karan Shraddha Bhanjan hai, Shraddha Bhanjan hai.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Gurudev. All glories to assembled Vaishnavi devotees. And all glories to His Holiness Bhakti Rasayan Sagar Swami Maharaj. Dear devotees, we thank you for being here as always. Today we're very much blessed. We have His Holiness Bhakti Rasayan Sagar Swami, who will be speaking to us. And I believe today is his first time speaking to us on this Hare Krishna Africa platform. At the end of the Krishna Katha, I may share a little bit of bio of His Holiness, so devotees may get to know him a little bit more. But Maharaj, like I said, we're very grateful and appreciative to have your association and also enjoy your wisdom in Srimad Bhagavatam. So without further ado, we may put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here. Because responding to the slokas creates distortion, devotees may not respond back when you reciting the slokas. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So we can already start?
Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, it's my great privilege to hold this Srimad Bhagavatam class. And we will start with offering prayers to Hari Guru Vaishnavas. And then I'll just chant the Sanskrit and read translation purport of this verse. And because the purport will be quite long, so we might be taking it a little bit apart and speaking on different parts of it. Om Gyantamirandasya Ginanjana Salakaya Chakshuranmiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Utai Mahaprema Prabhur Nirmaya Ksati Dhamushu Purusha Bhumte Gunan Sadasa Sadasadmaka Yalam Krishista Bhagavan Vacham Sime Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, we are reading today the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 9, Answers by Citing the Lord's Version. Text 37. Etanmatam samatishta paramena samadina bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu nabimuhyati karhichit. So we can read the synonyms as well. Etat, this, matam, the conclusion, samatishta, remain fixed, paramena, by the Supreme, samadhina, the concentration of the mind, bhavan, yourself, kalpa, intermediate devastation, vikalpeshu, in the final devastation, navi muhyati, will never bewilder, karichit, anything like complacence. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Purport. As in the Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has summarized the whole text in 4 verses, namely Aham Sarvasya Bravo, etc. So the complete Srimad Bhagavatam has also been summarized in 4 verses, Aham, Evasham, Evagre, etc. So you probably remember the Chatur Shloki of Bhagavad Gita, starting with text 8. Aham sarvasya prabho matta sarva pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Krishna says, I am the source of everything, both material and spiritual. Everything emanates from me, and wise people who know this worship me with all their hearts. And the next verse is Matchita Madgata Vrana Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathantascha Mam Nitya Tushyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. The Lord says that my pure devotees are fully focused on me, and their lives are fully dedicated to my service, and they derive great pleasure and satisfaction from always discussing topics related to myself. And then text 10, Krishna explains also a very important point, that Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yanamam upayantite. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. And next one, 10:11, Krishna explains Tasham evanukam partham ham ajnana jantama nasham yatma bhavasto jnana dipena basvataha. He says that to show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. And this Chatur Shloki of Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the explanation of entire process of devotional service. First one is Sambandha, Jnana, theoretical understanding of Krishna as the source of everything, which brings one to serve him. That wise who know this worship me perfectly. And then Abhideya is explained. For example, in 10:9, there are different processes of devotional service exemplified. Matchita Madgata Pranabodayanta Parasparam Katayanta Shamam Nityam, Shravanam Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. And serving Krishna is also explained. And of course, the two last verses are explaining the prayojana, that how Krishna reciprocates with his devotees by giving them intelligence and removing the darkness born of ignorance. And in the same way, Bhagavatam gives the Chaturshloki as well. And this text is the follow-up text after the Chaturshloki of Srimad Bhagavatam, which we will also address. So we'll continue reading. Thus, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavatam, interesting. Let's see, there must be some typo here. So, the secret purpose of the most important Bhagavat conclusion has been explained by the original speaker of the Srimad Bhagavatam, who was also the original speaker of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. There are many grammarians and non-devotee material wranglers who have tried to present false interpretation on these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Lord himself advises Brahmaji not to be deviated from the fixed conclusion the Lord had taught him. The Lord was the teacher of the nucleus of Srimad Bhagavatam in 4 verses, and Brahma was the receiver of the knowledge. Misinterpretation of the word aham by the word jugglery of the impersonalists should not disturb the mind of the strict followers of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, impersonalists and Mayavadis are very expert in the word jugglery, as Srila Prabhupada explains. For example, he says exactly same verse, say, like the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, as we know, is that we should give up all types of occupations or religions and just surrender unto the Lord. Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. And Srila Prabhupada says that if Guru is a Vaishnava, he says, Krishna tells us to surrender unto him, so we should surrender unto Krishna. But then Mayavadi will say, since Krishna says surrender unto me because I am Krishna, you should all surrender unto me. So, and this is how they interpret those verses sometimes, aham sarvasya brabhavo. They say, look, it says that I am the source of everything, so that means I am the source of everything, or aham evasham evagre. So, they interpret those verses in these different ways, and naive people, they believe them because they say, look, by spiritual practices, I became God, and so if you follow me, you will also become God. So this is how they bewilder people. But we should understand that so many gods have, appeared, so-called gods appeared and disappeared, but the world is still here. So that means, nothing really dependent on them. So we should not let, these kind of people to bewilder us. So Srimad Bhagavatam is the text of the personality of Godhead and his unalloyed devotees, who are also known as the Bhagavatas, and any outsider should have no access to this confidential literature of devotional service. But unfortunately, the impersonalist, who has no relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sometimes tries to interpret Srimad Bhagavatam by his poor fund of knowledge in grammar and dry speculation. So Srila Prabhupada would say, if they are so smart, why do they have to take Krishna's books like Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and interpret them, use Krishna's fame, try to promote themselves. Let them write their own books, whatever hell they want to write. Why should they, try to take Krishna's knowledge and try to kick Krishna out and put their own face? It's, sometimes on the beaches they have this funny thing that, some kind of picture of, like super muscular guy or super beautiful girl on the on the board, but there is an oval cut out in the place of face, and so people might put their own face, and no matter how silly they look, in that picture they will appear to be super powerful or super beautiful like that. So this is what impersonalists are trying to do, take Krishna's knowledge, take Krishna's fame, and put their own ugly faces in there and claim to be, the owners of that. But this is ridiculous. So therefore the Lord warns Brahma and through Brahma all future devotees of the Lord in the disciplic succession of Brahma that one should never be misled by the conclusion of the so-called grammarians or by other men with a poor fund of knowledge, but must always fix the mind properly via the parampara system. So it's really important. Parampara means one after the other, right? Parampara. This is the chain of disciplic succession. And basically speaking, even in the material world, if someone claims to be, something, then there is always, like in scientific world, if someone wants to have scientific degree, then there is always a question, who approved? Who approved you, which line, which school are you following? And so if someone comes up and he says, I'm self-made, no, he cannot be accepted. So there should always be references to authorized sources. In the same way, parampara system, if Krishna gives this knowledge, then there should be line coming from Krishna school, coming from Krishna, and it should be very strictly no personal interpretations. This is what Srila Prabhupada says here. No one should try to give a new interpretation by dint of mundane knowledge. But this is very, enticing. Always give your own interpretation, because if it's given by Krishna and you repeat it, then all fame goes to Krishna. What about little me? I want to be glorified, so I want to introduce something new. So yeah, this tendency is very, very strong. Sometimes we can see, even devotees chanting some, traditional songs, like every morning we chant Shri Guru Charana Padma, but then, they always try to change it to introduce something new. For example, what is it? Instead of chanting, Lokanath Lokera Jivana, they chant Prabhupada Lokera Jivana, or instead of Haha Prabhu Koradoya, they put Prabhupada Koradoya, Deho More Padacha, etc. And I heard these things. And interestingly enough, even the so-called widely accepted lines devotees chant in the end, like after the Abhiyas Dushuk Tribhuvana, oftentimes devotees chant, Doipada Loyala Sharana, Prabhupada Patita Pavana, which seem to be acceptable, but then Haridas Prabhu, one of Prabhupada disciples from Juhu, Mumbai, I've been there, and devotees chanted those lines. And after Kirtan, he stood up and he said, I wanted to make an announcement. I've been in Prabhupada presence when also someone chanted those lines, and Prabhupada was very upset. He said, who taught you these lines? Where are they coming from? You should not change anything, even though it was not technically a change, it was just addition. But even with that, Prabhupada was upset because the idea was you start changing something and then you um, um, show this example, and then, you become kind of famous as, new acharya who introduced something new and exciting, and then other people will see, okay, maybe you could also change a little more, and then next batch will think, let us change a little more, and then in the end, there will be nothing left from the original source. So it's really important for us to control these tendencies, because Srila Prabhupada was not very happy with that. So the guru, yeah, that's right. And the first step, therefore, in pursuance of the system of knowledge received by Brahma is to approach bona fide guru, who is the representative of the Lord, following the parampara system. No one should try to squeeze out his own meaning by imperfect mundane knowledge. The guru, or the bona fide spiritual master, is competent to teach the disciple in the right path with reference to the context of all authentic Vedic literature. He does not attempt to juggle words to bewilder the student. The bona fide spiritual master, by his personal activities, teaches the disciple the principles of devotional service. Without personal service, one would go on speculating like the impersonalists and dry speculators, life after life, and would be unable to reach the final conclusion. By following the instructions of the bona fide spiritual master in conjunction with the principles of revealed scriptures, the student will rise to the plane of complete knowledge, which will be exhibited by development of detachment from the world of sense gratification. The mundane wranglers are surprised that one can detach himself from the world of sense gratification, and thus any attempt to be fixed in God realization appears to them to be mysticism. This detachment from the sensory world is called the Brahma Bhuta stage of realization, the preliminary stage of transcendental devotional life, para bhakti. The Brahma Bhuta stage of life is also known as the Atmarama stage, in which one is fully self-satisfied and does not hanker for the world of sense enjoyment. Probably some of you can recognize reference to the famous Atmarama verse from the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Atmaramascha Munayo, Nirgranta Apirukrame, which says that even though so are self-satisfied and not interested in anything material, they still become attached to Krishna. And this is the secret of detachment from this world, is to become attached to Krishna. This stage of full satisfaction is the proper situation for understanding the transcendental knowledge of the personality of Godhead. The Srimad Bhagavatam 1-20 affirms this. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, in the completely satisfied stage of life, exhibited by full detachment from the world of sense enjoyment, as a result of performing devotional service, one can understand the science of God in the liberated stage. It's a very powerful verse. In this stage of full satisfaction and detachment from the sensory world, one can know the mystery of the science of God with all its confidential intricacies, and not by grammar or academic speculation. Because Brahma qualified himself for such reception, the Lord was pleased to disclose the purpose of Srimad Bhagavatam. As we know from the earlier descriptions, Brahma satisfied the Lord because he followed his guideline, which was only one word with 2 syllables, tapa. And Brahma was performing tapasya, and then he became purified, and he pleased the Supreme Lord. So tapasya means detachment from sense gratification. That's why Srila Prabhupada is speaking about this. And we know that it's really important, as Lord Rishabhadev speaks about it in the very beginning of his teachings in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 5. He also explains, Nayam deha dehan vajam nriloke kastan kamarn arhati vidbhujam ye tapodivyam putrakayana satvam shudhyati asmat brahma sukyam tvanantam. He says that, my dear sons, the human life is not meant for sense gratification, which can be enjoyed even by the lower animals, but it's meant for tapodivyam, for divine austerity, which brings a first result of the divine austerity is shudhyat. One purifies one's consciousness, and no, actually, even before that, sattvam, it contributes to enlightenment, sattva, and then shudhyat purifies one's consciousness, and the ultimate result is brahma sokyam tvanantam. It gives one spiritual bliss, which is in no way can be compared to, very dull material sense gratification. And so this direct instruction by the Lord to any devotee who is detached from the world of sense gratification is possible, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10:10. So this is reference to one of the verses from Chatur Shloki. Tasham satata yuktanam bhajanam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. Unto the devotees who are constantly engaged in the Lord's transcendental loving service, priti purvakam, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy upon the devotee, gives direct instructions so that the devotee may make accurate progress on the path, returning home back to Godhead. One should not therefore try to understand these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam by mental speculation. Rather, by direct perception of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is able to know all about his abode Vaikuntha, and as was seen and experienced by Brahmaji. Such Vaikuntha realization is possible by any devotee of the Lord situated in the transcendental position as a result of devotional service. In the Gopala Tapani Upanishad, Shruti said, Gopa Vesha Me Purusha Purastat Avirbhabhuvaha. The Lord appeared before Brahma as cowboy, that is, as the original personality of Godhead. Lord Sri Krishna Govinda, who is later described by Brahmaji in this Brahma Samhita 5:29. Chintamani prakarasad masukalpa vriksha lakshavriteshu surabhira vipalayantam lakshmi sahasrasata sambrama sevyamanam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Brahmaji desires to worship the original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, who resides in the topmost Vaikuntha planet, known as Goloka Vrindavan, where he is in the habit of keeping Surabhi cows as a cowboy, and where he is served by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, the gopis, with love and respect. Therefore, Lord Sri Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Lord, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is also clear from this instruction. By the way, it's really interesting. Gopal Tapani Upanishad is such an amazing scripture which exactly describes everything Srila Prabhupada gave us. And at one point, I was even bewildered why Srila Prabhupada didn't translate Gopal Tapani Upanishad, because it's it's like one of the 108 main Upanishads, very, very ancient, one, completely disproves all the ideas that, concepts of worshipping Radha and Krishna are new concepts which were introduced by Gaudiya Vaishnavas, because Gopal Upanishad is one of the oldest Upanishads, scientifically proven, etc., etc. But then I realized why Srila Prabhupada chosen Sri Isha Upanishad, because it was one of the 11 Upanishads highlighted by Shankaracharya, and he wanted to use one of those Upanishads to prove the authenticity of devotional service. But Gopal Tapani Upanishad is just mind-blowing scripture. Anyway, therefore, Lord Shri Krishna is the original form of the Supreme Lord, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is also clear from this instruction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, and not directly Narayana or the Purusha avatars, which are subsequent manifestations. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam means consciousness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the sound representation of the Lord as much as the Bhagavad Gita. Thus, the conclusion is that Srimad Bhagavatam is the science of the Lord, in which the Lord and his abode are perfectly realized. Hare Krishna. So we'll read the text one more time. And very, very quickly, we will give you a very brief overview of the Chaturshloki, which, this verse is coming immediately after the Chaturshloki. And so it's really important for us to understand the essence of it according to the parampara. So, O Brahma, just follow the conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. Etam matam samatishta paramena samathina bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu na vimuhyati karhichit. Interesting that Krishna explains that the first signs of real knowledge. This is chapter 13, text 8. He says, knowledge starts with amanitvam adambitvam, humility and pridelessness. So unless one has humility and pridelessness, that means, this knowledge is not spiritual, but material. And so therefore, Krishna says that if you follow those conclusions from these 4 verses, Chaturshloki, that you will never be disturbed by pride, neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. It also very much reminds us of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, text 2. Idam gyanam upashritya mama sadarmam agataha sargena pi nopajayante pralayana vyatanticha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. So yes, Lord repeats certain things in different places, under different circumstances, for the clarity. And so the most important essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is those Chaturshloki. So, and they start with text 33. This is the first verse of Chaturshloki, and they finish with the text 36. And so we have read the text which follows immediately this 4 essential verses, and without even reading those verses, we'll just mention the essence of them. So text 33, which is the first Chaturshloki, is explaining about the Lord's material and spiritual forms, answering to the text 2.9.26 and 2.8, from 8 to 11. And so the Lord alone existed previous to creation as the Lord of the spiritual world, and after creation as the material universe, as the supersoul, and as his various avatars, and after annihilation as the Lord of Vaikuntha. So famous verse, aham eva sham evagre nanyat yat sada satparam paschat aham yadeta cha yoga shishyeta sos yaham. So the Lord existed, existing now, and will exist after everything will be finished. So second verse of Chaturshloki, Krishna dedicates to explanation of Maya. And he's answering to 2.9.27 in this verse. And he explains, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality, it is my illusory energy. Ritartham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyat atmano mayam yatha basho yatha tama. So next, text 35, which is the third verse of Chaturshloki, it explains Lord's activities in relation to Maya, answering 2.9.28 and 2.8.23. Krishna says, I myself exist within everything created, and at the same time, I am outside of everything. Yatha mahanti bhutani bhute shuchava cheshvanu pravishancha pravishanti tatha teshu nateshvaham. And text 36, this is the fourth verse of Chaturshloki, is explaining about bhakti, answering Brahma's plea in 2.9, 29 and 30, and also fulfills his promise made in 2.9.31. He says, only by practice of bhakti you can overcome lethargy and pride. Interesting. Lethargy is ignorance and pride is passion, right? Etavam eva jigyasyam tadva jigyasanatmana anvaya vyatireka bhyam yatsyat sarvatra sarvada. So if you remember, one should search for the Lord directly and indirectly. This is what bhakti means. And so, of course, we could go further into a little bit deeper explanation of Chaturshloki by the acharyas, what different acharyas are explaining, Srila Jiva Goswami, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and of course Srila Prabhupada. But unfortunately, our time is very limited, and we want to leave time to devotees' questions and comments, if there are. Of course, it's a huge subject matter, and it's really not possible to give it a proper justice in such a short amount of time. But Hare Krishna, let's see if anyone wants to say.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
It's a very beautiful subject matter. Devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations you would want to share, please indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak.
Yes, suggestions are and complaints are also accepted.
Thank you so much, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Well, Maharaj, if you may throw a little bit more light as to what it means when Krishna himself stated that one should search for the Supreme Lord both directly and indirectly. What does that mean?
All right, so let's see then what our acharyas are saying. So the meaning of the first verse, first of all, the second line is Tattva Jigya Sanatmana. That means a person who is searching after the Supreme Absolute Truth. And the first line is Etavat Eva Jigyasyam, must certainly search for it up to this. And then third line, Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam, which is determined as the best by obtaining positive results through performance, anvaya, and by lack of results through non-performance, yatirekya. And the concluding line is yat syat sarvatra sarvada, which can be performed in all circumstances, in all space and time. And so the Srila Jiva Goswami basically defines Tat Angam as the necessary paraphernalia or means by which one may attain the confidential goal, Rahasyam, that is referring to 2935, the previous verse. The meaning is sadhana bhakti. So basically he says that sadhana bhakti is that process by which one can search for the Lord. Then Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 25122 comments that it is the duty of every person to inquire and hear about the process of bhakti. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Sri Bhajan Rahasya mentions that this verse explained the circumstances favorable for bhakti. He explained that there are two ways for becoming free from anarthas, directly by following the rules and indirectly by following the restrictions. So this is what it means. Directly means direct process of devotional service, and indirectly means understanding of what we should avoid and, dangers of not following, etc. Like how we speak about Krishna and the beauty of Krishna consciousness and the benefits of Krishna consciousness. And then we also speak about Maya, the problems of Maya and the dangers of it. So this is what directly and indirectly indicates.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Maharaj. But even the text itself, what Krishna was telling Lord Brahma, if I may put the verse back on the screen, Maharaj.
Sure. Yes.
Sri Krishna is telling Lord Brahma, just follow this conclusion by fixed concentration of mind, and no pride will disturb you.
Right.
Neither in the partial nor in the final devastation. So my question, and what is bewildering to me, is, does that mean that when one becomes very proud in his devotional service performances, it's simply because one has not been able to fix his mind and not been able to concentrate his mind on the Supreme Lord?
Yeah.
We hear in the scriptures where there are great personalities who have been able to concentrate their mind, and yet they fall victim to Maya's praise. So if you may shed a little bit light as to what Krishna means by telling Lord Brahma, with fixed concentration of mind, no pride will disturb him.
Yeah. Well, basically speaking, if we my spiritual master was telling me was telling in one class that say if we are sport champions living in some little village, right? We might be very proud of ourselves, thinking that I'm the best guy in the village, which consists of one house, as they joke in Russia, like that. So, but then, if the same so-called champion comes to Olympic Games, and then he becomes really humbled, by real champions, etc. So, if we remember that story of Lord Brahma, how he came to Krishna for audience, and then Krishna was asking which Brahma, and he had to say four-headed Brahma, the father of 4 Kumaras, and then he was asking Krishna other Brahmas, and Krishna showed him so many other Brahmas with hundreds, thousands, and millions of heads, etc. And that Brahma felt himself like a little mosquito amidst elephants. So everything we can realize in comparison, and so Krishna is so perfect in all respects and not only Krishna, but his associates are so perfect in all respects. And so if we focus on Krishna all the time, we're going to definitely feel very, very humble and insignificant and unqualified. Probably some of us had that experience when we come in the presence of very qualified devotee, and we think, oh my God, I have very, very long way to go. So, and if we are focused like that all the time, we're going to be naturally humble. But it's only when, we incidentally perform little devotional service, and then Krishna, as a result, for our encouragement, fulfills some of our material desires, and then we become very proud. Oh, I can satisfy my senses better than any other people. Instead of focusing on Krishna, we change the focus back to ourselves, and this is when the pride creeps in. So yeah, the solution is to always think of Krishna. Then humility will naturally come.
Well, thank you so much, Maharaj. Anyone else with something to ask or share? Oh, Tribhuvannath Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, please accept my obeisances. Thank you for your eloquent presentation. So sweet.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, this particular text, we see that the Lord is instructing Brahma, and Brahma is the creator. We say second creator according to Shastra, and still we see it in the further cantos, and still he was bewildered by pride. So what actually do we learn, if our Acharya, a grandfather of our movement, will have this kind of, flops? So how do we substantiate ourselves?
Yes. Yes, it is very good question, and we can see that Lord Brahma is not the only example. Very, very great personalities, like Dhruva Maharaj and Lord Shiva even. He is defined as Vaishnava Yata Shambhu, the best of all the Vaishnavas, but then we can still see how he became victim of Mohini Murti. And if you remember, Dhruva Maharaj, also after getting the darshan of the Supreme Lord and after getting, his direct blessings with the conch and everything, and then suddenly he becomes victim of anger and starts killing the yakshas, and then he has to be stopped by Kuvera and Lord Brahma, who are telling him, you went too far, etc. And so why Bhagavatam is giving us all these examples, just to show us that in the material world, even the greatest personalities might, be overcome by whatever influence of material nature. But the difference between, these personalities who might display incidentally some faults, and between conditioned souls is very simple. We can see that when these great personalities are corrected, they immediately take humble position and they follow the guidelines of the superior authorities. Whereas, conditioned souls, they don't care about the guidelines and they just follow. the dictation of their own false egos. So that's the difference. And yeah, this is example for all of us that yes, you know, we are prone to be making missteps, but then if we are agree to stand corrected and follow the guidelines, we will continue the process of devotional service to the perfection.
Maharaj, thank you. I like the distinction you make. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, beautiful question and excellent answer, Maharaj.
Hare.
Maharaj, I have one question which is not directly related to today's text, but because we are trying to be devotees, some of us are trying to be devotees. We wholeheartedly accept whatever the scriptures say. But sometimes some statements made by the scriptures are not so easy to try to explain to non-devotees.
Yeah.
And one of such is Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was cursed to die in 7 days. And when he knew that he had been cursed to die in 7 days, he utilized the 7 days in hearing Bhagavatam. And we are told that he did not get up from his seat for the entire 7 days. He just sat at one place and just listened to Shukadeva Goswami. Now, if that is the case, then the question is, if he only sat at one place day and night for 7 days, just listening to Bhagavatam, to the last time that the Tataksha snake will come to bite him and die, at what point within those 7 days did he try to build some sort of fence around him so that the Tataksha snake cannot bite him?
Oh.
And two, at what point did he relate the knowledge he had acquired from Shukadev Goswami to his mother Uttara, which gave us the Brihad Bhagavad Mrita? Yeah. So these are some of the questions. It's bewildering to me how these things all came together. If you may give some insight, Maharaj, please.
Yes, thank you, bro. Very good question. That the first one in relation to Maharaj Parikshit trying to hide in some kind of tower, Akshaka, is actually coming from one of the editions of Mahabharata. But I heard from Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj that there are different editions of scriptures, and they are meant for different kinds of people, those who are attached to karma kanda, jnana kanda, etc., and they are not really devotional interpretations. And that's why we accept the version of Bhagavatam in which Maharaj Parikshit actually told the sages gathered at Ganga that, now I completely have no fear of, any snake or any mystical creature created by the curse. It may bite me at any time. The only thing I want is that, you all chant and, we all chant and hear the glories of the Supreme Lord, something like that. So he expressed total fearlessness, which is explained by Rupa Goswami as the symptom of bhava. So according to Bhagavatam, he never had any fear. He never tried to protect himself. So we accept that version, and those other versions are just to bewilder the materialistic people. And in relation to Brihad Bhagavatamrita narration, which was given by Maharaj Parikshit to Uttara, is yes, after Shukadev Goswami left and then Takshaka appeared, apparently there was a little time gap, which is not exactly elaborated in Bhagavatam, and from the description, it might look like immediately, after Maharaj Parikshit left, Takshaka was queuing up or something, just waiting for Maharaj Parikshit to say Haribol or something, and then jump on Shukadev Goswami to finish, and then jump on Maharaj Parikshit. But it may necessarily be that drastic, that it's more realistic to understand that Maharaj Shukadev Goswami spoke, and then he left, and then Uttara came, and she asked him to, because as we understood, there were no microphones or loudspeakers in those days, so only those who sat close to Parikshit and Shukadev could hear Bhagavatam, but ladies normally sat at distance, and so Uttara couldn't hear. But she saw that Maharaj Parikshit underwent very profound transformations, and she was asking, what did that great soul spoke to you? Could you please give me the essence of it? And so then in very short version, because there was very little time left of his life, Maharaj Parikshit gave her these two brief stories. One is of Gopakumar and the other one of Narad Muni. Gopakumar returning to Goloka Vrindavan, and Narad Muni is looking for perfect devotee. And so, yes, apparently he had those, few, maybe an hour or two, whatever it took for him to tell those stories before Takshaka appeared. So yeah, this is how we understand it.
Well, thank you, Maharaj. I will accept what you're saying, but I'd always been thinking and leaning much more towards to the other aspect that at least Maharaj Parikshit initially attempted to do something to prevent the snake bite. And then after a while, he accepted that, okay, if this is Krishna's desire, let it be. Because as humans, as devotees, if things happen to us against what we wish, we try naturally to do something to stop it, to prevent it. I mean, even in the Bible, even though Jesus Christ, it said that he knew what he was going to be faced with in terms of crucifixion. But he prayed to the Lord, please take this away. And then after a while, he realized that, okay, if it's the Lord's desire, let it be. So it shows the human aspect of this great soul, that even though this is going to happen to me, I do not want pain, but if it's the desire of the Lord, let it be. But I tend to agree to what you're sharing also. I do not want to be an impersonalist, so I do not want to toe towards what is like the impersonalist interpretation that Maharaj Parikshit was trying to do something to prevent the snake bite. Thank you, Maharaj.
I think we can read those few verses from the 6th chapter of the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, which are in relation to the departure of Maharaj Parikshit. This is the name of the chapter, right? Maharaj Parikshit passes away, 12.6. And so in 12.6.5, Maharaj Parikshit says very clearly, actually confirms what he already said, which was already quoted in the first canto. My Lord, addressing Shukadeva Goswami, I now have no fear of Takshaka or any other living being, or even of repeated deaths, because I have absorbed myself in that purely spiritual absolute truth which you have revealed and which destroys all fear. O Brahmana, please give me permission to resign my speech and the functions of all my senses unto Lord Adokshaja. Allow me to absorb my mind, purify of lofty desires within him, and to thus give up my life. You have revealed to me that which is most auspicious, the supreme personal feature of the Lord. I am now fixed in knowledge and self-realization, and my ignorance has been eradicated. And then basically speaking, Shukadeva Goswami gives permission to Maharaj Parikshit, then he is worshipped by Maharaj Parikshit and the sages, then he departs, and then Maharaj Parikshit sits on the bank of the Ganga, and then he, basically speaking, absorbs his mind and intelligence into the Supreme Lord, and, then it's been described how Takshaka gradually approaches that place, and Kashyapa tries to stop him. It didn't work, and then approaches king and bites the king. So apparently there was some time after Shukadeva Goswami spoke and left, etc. Then that's why Sanatana Goswami inserted that bit when Uttara approached him and he enlightened her. Like that. So after the descriptions, after the association of Shukadeva Goswami, he had absolutely no fear of Takshaka.
Thank you, Maharaj. Shivanath Prabhu, please, you may unmute.
Sadi, thank you for that question. I have once raised that question before. I find it great. Yeah, I find that question very, very interesting, especially when you raise it again. But there is a section that was not added to what Maharaj had just analyzed. What Maharaj have analyzed, that is what we have said. That is what we grab. But those who really wants to get the details, because it's not just possible you just accept something all of a sudden. You have to be so systematic, a kind of breakdown. So I have also been on that page with you. But I find that there was one other section which Jamini Jaya, the son of Parishit, and Vyasadeva have asked one of his disciples, what's his name again? Vaisapayana, to speak to him, a section of Mahabharata. That is where those analysis comes. There are so much beautiful analysis, that leads to that aspect of Parishit death. Even before the death of Parishit, there was one, what's his name again? I remember one stage, but it's quite different from the one Bhagavatam mentioned. When he heard that Parishit was cursed, so his intention was, let me go to Parishit, that whenever Parishit, whenever the time was the cause to take his place, then I will, resolve the cause. I will, take away the cause for him. So when that personality was going there, Takshaksha understand that personality actually was about to do the opposite. So he checked this personality from going to that place. And the personality said, no, I want to go because I know that when I do this kind of assistance to the king, I will get some reward. So there was a conversation between this personality and Tashacha the snake. He said, what do you think that Parishit will give you that I cannot give you? And why do you even think that you can actually, relieve Parishit from the curse when I pronounce the curse? So give me an example that you really have this strength to relieve Parishit from this curse. So Tashaksha the snake pronounced the curse on a banyan tree, and the banyan tree was all raised down. And this personality, instantly he used the mantra, and the banyan tree come back to life. So how do we come to know this? There was a man on top of that banyan tree who was taking a house for his own different purpose. He was the one who was narrating these things for a different general body. So why do I raise this? I have also, be on your on a page with you because I couldn't just get it right, straight that 7 days before you die, then there has to be some certain, thoughts, some certain preparations, some settings, how things, how. So I agree with Maharaj, but there is still some other analysis that actually lead to the eventuality of his accepting it as it is. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tribhuvan. I think Maharaj talked about it, even though he did not describe the entire scenario, but Maharaj mentioned Kashyapa, who had the mystical power to counteract any snake bite. And in fact, it is said that that is the beginning of Brahmins becoming corrupt. Because he received a bribe.
Yes, that personality was Kashyapa, but different from the Kashyapa that was mentioned. I think some said it's the same, but some said.
Oh, you got muted, Tribhuvan.
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna. Well, thank you, Maharaj. This is your class, so if you want to say something in regards to what Tribhuvan Prabhu just shared, please, you may do that. Before I give a little bit of bio of thy humble self, Maharaj, to the devotees.
No, I think it's good because unfortunately our time is short, and I wanted to thank all the devotees for your kind attention and allowing me to speak, and hopefully there was something which was interesting or useful for all of you. So please give your blessing so that I would be helpful for devotees in their service. And I think, yeah, I could finish here. Thank you.
Well, Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Maharaj. In fact, we actually seek for your blessings. So if we cannot grow up in devotional service, at least we'll try to stay in Srila Prabhupada's service. I was very much impressed and interested at the same time when you were talking about some changes in our precious movement, which oftentimes are kind of subtle. If you do not pay close attention, you will not catch it. And I'm guilty of one such changes because sometimes when I chant the Shri Guru Charana, I also sing that line. I don't know where it's coming from. No, the last line. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's very interesting you mentioned that. I'm never going to repeat that line again. Especially when you said somebody had sung it and Srila Prabhupada was very unhappy with it. So thank you so much for sharing. Salika Prabhu, so hold on, Salika Prabhu. Well, Maharaj, I believe that most of us here, if not all of us here, have seen him once or twice online. And I think, to me, the most popular and most eye-catching video of Maharaj is when Maharaj was formally taking his sannyas initiation from His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj. And the title is Like Father, Like Son, which is so beautiful. You can, if you watch it, you keep dreaming of it. It was so colorful, so beautiful, because you can feel the love from the guru to the disciple, and vice versa from the disciple to the guru. This is the essence of devotional service. Having a love for the guru, just as the disciple has so much love for the guru, so the guru also has love for the disciple. And Maharaj has been preaching in almost all over the world, but specifically it's mentioned here that like 20 major countries that Maharaj has been frequenting in preaching. Maharaj loves a lot of teachings in schools, and of course, like I said, like father, like son. So Maharaj loves kirtan and bhajans. So he's a teacher, he's a lecturer, and of course, he has his base in Russia. We are sinful, but we pray that this conflict is material between Russia and Ukraine may end to save lives. Of course, Maharaj is there. There are other great devotees there praying for each and every one. So Maharaj, let me see here. In his lectures and trainings, he's been using both ancient secret scriptures and developments of Harvard Business School, which is very inspiring also, because Krishna himself says that in order for us to better understand him, we should understand him from all angles. And Srila Prabhupada actually wanted us to study his books and to approach it from all angles. So it's very interesting Maharaj is doing this to help, especially the educated class of human beings in the world. And when such people become devotees, then it becomes easier for them to make more devotees. So thank you so much, Maharaj, for your service in Srila Prabhupada's movement and serving the entire Vaishnav community in the world. And with that being said, Salika Prabhu, please, you may unmute yourself and then go ahead to say something for us to end the Sangha today.
Okay, thank you very much, Adi Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to His confounder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for coming to Hare Krishna Africa platform. It's not a question. I just wanted to formally welcome you here. It's an interesting Maharaj. I had the great fortune of meeting Maharaj on a different platform completely. There is a global organization, United Religious Initiative, which Gurudev's IFAST is part of. And in one of the engagements of URI at the global level, so I came to meet Maharaj there, and then we had the opportunity to interact. So, and it's been quite a while that actually I've been disconnected. So I was very happy when I saw Maharaj's name on the schedule for today's class. So Maharaj, thank you very much for coming to Africa. We will look forward to having you physically visit Africa one of these days. Thank you very much for what you're doing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Salik. Wonderful to see you again too. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So, dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Holiness RASAYANA SWAMI Maharaj, for being here and sharing his love and wisdom with us all. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Vancha
Holiness, Swami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.